and I'm super excited for it. Today, I wanted to go live because I made a commitment, and I started thinking about this. Like, New Year's commitments are amazing and wonderful and terrific and great, but the reality of it is that why wait till New Year's to start your new project, your new life, your new thing? Like, let's just make it happen, right? Like, let's just do it right now. So I made a commitment starting in the new year to broadcast every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. Arizona time. And that means that I'm going to be broadcasting with you live every single Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, Christmas Eve. I'm going to be broadcasting live every single Tuesday with you here, wherever you happen to be seeing it, whether you're watching this on Periscope or you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching this on Facebook or Facebook pages, whether my Ecom Power Hour group or wherever you're watching it, I'm going to be right here live with you. And new channel today is Twitch. We're going to be broadcasting live on Twitch as well, all part of the Big Insider Secrets 2020 Focus effort. Today is not about me. It isn't at all about me. It isn't at all about Big Insider Secrets. It's not at all about anything other than the amazing season that we're in, the joyous holiday that we're in, and the beauty of the season. So if you're watching this live, thank you so much. And if you're not watching live, that's okay. Hopefully you'll be watching the replay because I have a very special something to bring to you today that I hope you'll enjoy and maybe you'll share. And I'm going to actually ask you to share after the very first story. So my intention today is to read a couple of Christmas stories for you. These are for you to share. These are for you to enjoy. These are some of my favorite Christmas stories. I don't know how many I'll get to today, but I will be doing this because I really want to share the gift of laughter and the gift of cheer and the gift of the holiday season. Christmas is truly a beautiful time of the year. I spend most of my Christmases alone, and that's okay. It's actually really cool because when I'm alone, I get to think about the people that I'm with. Hey, Adora, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do today is share a couple of Christmas stories to spread the holiday cheer. And the first one that I have for you is actually a twist of a traditional holiday story. So if you'll listen in with me, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll really enjoy this one. This one is called A Soldier's Christmas. And it starts like this. 'Twas the night before Christmas. He lived all alone in a one-bedroom house made of plaster and stone. I had come down the chimney with presents to give and to see just who in this home did live. I looked all about, and a strange sight I did see. No tinsel, no presents, not even a tree. No stockings by the mantle, just boots filled with sand. On the wall hung pictures of a far distant land, with medals and badges, awards of all kinds. A sober thought came to my mind. For this house was different. It was dark and a little dreary. I found the home of a soldier. Once I could see clearly. The soldier lies sleeping, silent and alone, curled up on the floor in this one-bedroom home. The face was so gentle, the room such disorder, not how I pictured. Was this the hero of whom I just read? Curled up on a poncho on the floor, not a bed? I realized the families that I saw this here night owed their lives to this soldier and those willing to fight. Soon, round the world, children would play. Grown-ups would celebrate this bright Christmas day. They enjoyed freedom each month of the year because of the soldiers, like the one lying here. I couldn't help wonder how many lay alone on this cold Christmas Eve in a land far from home. The very thought brought a tear to my eye, and I dropped to my knees and I started to cry. The soldier awakened, and I heard a rough voice. He said, "Santa, don't cry. This life is my choice." The soldier rolled over and drifted to sleep. I couldn't control it. I continued to weep. I watched for hours, so silent and so still. We both shivered from the cold winter night's chill. I didn't want to leave on this cold, cold, dark night. This guardian of honor, so willing to fight. The soldier rolled over, now with a voice soft and pure. He whispered, "Carry on, Santa. It's Christmas Day, and all is secure." One look at my watch, and I knew he was right. So Merry Christmas, my friends, and to all a good night. Now, this poem was written by a soldier, a Marine stationed in Okinawa, Japan. I don't know his name, or I would give credit. But if you would do me the kind favor and share this message so that as many people as possible can remember. See, Christmas will be coming soon, and some credit is due to our U.S. servicemen and women for being just able to celebrate all of the festivities today. Let's try today in a small way to pay a tiny bit of what we owe to them by just stopping and thinking of our heroes, living and dead, who sacrificed themselves for us. So today, remember those who are not with their families at holidays, our servicemen, our servicewomen who fight for our freedom, perhaps with an extra prayer. Thank you. So I think that's a beautiful poem, and I wanted to start with that because I really do want to recognize the great service people in our lives, not only the soldiers who fight afar, but the National Guard locally, Coast Guard, the police, the fire, everyone who serves to protect us here and abroad. I'm grateful to you, and I appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you and your incredible families that also fight alongside you because you're not there with them through the holidays. So thank you for that. So next, we're going to lighten up the mood a little bit. This is actually truly one of my favorite Christmas stories of all time. And it is it's a wholesome, old school one that everybody really enjoys. I hope you enjoy it as much, or at least close to as much as I do. And it is The Grinch That Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. You see, the Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please do not ask why, because no one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on quite right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos. staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows belight in their town. For he knew that every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy right now hanging a mistletoe wreath. "And they're hanging their stockings," he snarled with a sneer. "Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here." He growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. "I must find a way from Christmas from coming." For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early, and they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, was the noise. The noise, 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 noise. And then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to feast. And then they'd feast, they'd feast, they'd feast on roast beast. They would start with Who pudding and rare roast Who's beast, which is something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, "I must stop this thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now, and I must stop Christmas from coming. But how?" Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. "I know just what to do," the Grinch laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. He chuckled and clucked. "What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I'll look like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer." And Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, and there was none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, "If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead." So he called for his dog, Bailey, and he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn to the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Bailey. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's laid a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first house, yes, the first house in the square, "This is number 1, the old Grinch Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof with empty bags in his fist. He slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue. Where the little Who stockings all hung in a row, "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk, a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. He stuffed them in bags, and then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox, and he took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding, he took the Who roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, said the Grinch, I will stuff up this tree. The Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this little Who daughter who got out of bed for a cold glass of water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Why, Santa Claus? Why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch? He was smart and quite quick. So he thought up a lie, and he thought up it quick. "Why, my little sweet tot," the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here." His fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, got her drink of water, and then sent her to bed. He went up the chimney, stuffed the tree right up. Then he took one last thing. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, that old liar. On their walls was left nothing but hooks and some wire. And just one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was too small for even a mouse. Then he did the same thing to all the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. He packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their tags and their tinsels, their trimmings and trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode to the tip-top to dump it. "Pooh-hoos to the Who's," said Grinchiously humming. "They're finding out now that Christmas is not coming. They're just waking up, and I know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a moment or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville will cry, 'Boo-hoo.'" That's a noise the Grinch wanted to hear. So he paused for a moment and put a Grinch hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, but it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded quite merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville, and the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook and he saw with a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without presents at all. Somehow or another, he hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled for 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't thought of before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, is a little bit more. And then what happened next? Oh, in Whoville, they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed up his load through the bright morning light. He brought back all the toys and the food for the feast, and it was he, himself, the Grinch, that carved the roast beast. The Grinch That Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Thank you. That is truly one of my favorite stories of all time. So I have one more story for you, and then we're going to wrap things up. And I really think that I hope that you enjoy this one as well. This story here is I may not have turned it off here. Let me check. Oh, here it is. I think I got it in the wrong order. I don't have it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a second, and we're going to pull up that story because I have it right here. And I'd like to read it to you. This one is one of my favorites, and I actually have adopted this story over time to include my children. And I have the second loudest keyboard in the entire planet, according to my friends. So I'm trying to be super quiet on that. All right, let me pull this up. And almost there. There we go. Excellent. All right. So this is an exciting story. This comes from a group called All Things Christmas. And this story is called, I'm going to move it over here so I can look at the camera while I'm talking to you. It says, it's Yes, Virginia by Francis, I can't pronounce this, Pachalis Church, who's editor of the New York Sun, to a young lady named Virginia O'Hanlon. And I've adapted this over time to my children, include my children, but today I'm going to read it as it was written. This is from Francis Church, editor of the New York Sun, who responds to a letter by Virginia O'Hanlon in the editorial section of The Sun, September 21st, 1897. We take great pleasure in answering thus prominently the communication below, expressing at the same time our great gratification that its faithful author is numbered among our friends of the Sun. Dear editor, I am 8 years old. Some of my little friends say there is no Santa Claus. Papa says, if you see it in the sun, it is so. So please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? Virginia O'Hanlon. Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe except they see. They think that nothing can be which is not comprehensible by their little minds. All minds, Virginia, whether they be men's or children, are little. In this great universe of ours, Man is a mere insect, an ant in his intellect compared to the boundless world around him, as measured by the intelligence capable of grasping the whole truth and knowledge. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. And you know that they abound and give to your life the highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would a world be if there was no Santa Claus? It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. We should have no enjoyment except sense of sight. The external light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. Not believe in Santa Claus. You may as well not believe in fairies. You might get your papa to hire men to watch all the chimneys on Christmas Eve to catch Santa Claus. But even if you did not see Santa Claus coming down, what would that prove? Nobody sees Santa Claus, but that is no sign that there is no Santa Claus. The most real things in the world are those that neither children nor men can see. Did you ever see fairies dancing on the lawn? Of course not. But that's no proof that they're not there. Nobody can conceive or imagine all of the wonders that are unseen and unseeable by the world. You tear apart a baby's rattle to see what makes the noise inside. But there is a veil covering the unseen world, which not the strongest man, nor even united strength of all the strongest men that ever lived could tear apart. You see, only faith, poetry, love, romance can push aside that curtain and view and picture the supernal beauty and glory beyond. It is all real. Ah, Virginia. In this world, there is nothing else more real and abiding. No Santa Claus? Thank God he lives and lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the heart of children. And I hope that it brings joy to your heart to hear some of these Christmas stories. I am proud and honored to call you amongst my friends, amongst my acquaintances, business associates, and I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas Eve, and to all a good night. Thank you.